Hello, hello. Welcome to the Awful and Awesome Entertainment Wrap, episode 301. My name is Abbas.
And I'm Nanika.
And after a brief absence in episode 300, which was a monumental episode,
Yes.
I am back on episode 301. But before we begin and before I tell you all what we're going to talk about, Nanika, what did I miss on the episode 300 live stream?
What did you miss? You missed interacting with the subscribers because they were like sending in their rolling questions, and we also had somebody join the live stream and talk to us about
nice.
anime. And I feel like you would have been way better at talking about that, and but you weren't there. And there were a lot of interesting questions about how this podcast has been, the political state of storytelling and filmmaking these days, and how we interact with whatever we critique, etc. So that was quite an interesting conversational episode. You would have really liked it if you were here, but unfortunately.
Yeah, I was off doing a voice workshop and taking a heritage walk.
Interesting. So maybe you can break out the voices for Awful and Awesome now.
Yep. But I have to say today's episode is very interesting. I'm sure Nanika is looking forward to it because we're discussing two of Nanika's favorite things. We're discussing a Marvel film. Yes. And we're going to be discussing the new Drake song, ? Another one of Nanika's favorite topics to discuss.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this episode after 12 hours of being at work. I'm so excited to talk about Drake at the end of a long day. Bring it on.
And we're going to be talking about two stand-up comedy specials. The first one is Biswa Kalyan's special called Mood Kharab, which is on Amazon Prime. And John Mulaney's Netflix special called Baby J. So, Nanika, let's start with the most obvious one first, the Marvel film.
Sure.
Which
I'm
currently...
glad because I have nothing to add here. I will be asking a few questions here and there, mostly about how you can continue to still watch Marvel stuff. But please, Abbas, tell me, what did you like about the movie?
So, Nanika, you are aware of this Godfather meme where Michael Corleone says, just when I'm out, they pull me back in.
Oh my God. Yeah. You said this exact same thing about Black Panther. It seems like, Abbas, you really don't want to leave. So, you never really want to get out.
I'll break it down for you. So, I saw, what was that? What was the one before Black Panther? Now I'm also losing count of the ones. What has happened is, like, I saw the one that came out before Black Panther and I was like,
you told me.
Multiverse of Madness. Yes. And I was like, yeah, I'm mixed on this. And then I saw Black Panther and I was like, wow, this is great. And then I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, which was bad. And I was like, okay, this is it. I think I have reached my limit.
Saturation.
And I don't think I'll be... but then this was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the conclusion of the James Gunn trilogy. So I was like, I have to go watch it.
Conclusion of the James Gunn trilogy, as if the words conclusion mean anything in the Marvel world. They're just going to resurrect the same characters in like a year and a half's time and say that, oh, this time we're back with a vengeance, or we're back with some other director, and people will just have to accept it. So,
So let me ask you, have you seen any of the Guardians of the Galaxy films of the two that have released? The first came out in 2014, the second came out in 2017. Do the words Groot or Rocket Raccoon ring any bells for you?
You get one guess to answer this.
That's a no.
Yeah, I do know Groot though, because like when Baby Yoda came out, people were comparing him and Groot, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but Groot has nothing on Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda is adorable. I would play with Baby Yoda. I would take him on little walks. Groot, I would punt into the sun without caring to.
So Groot is a grown up again in this film, and he's really muscular and like grown up, a fully grown adult now.
Isn't he like a piece of wood?
Huh?
Isn't he a piece of wood?
He's a tree essentially. So in the first movie, he was like a thin, wiry tree. Then he died in the first film and was resurrected as a child.
I told you, right? Resurrection. It's kind of like film, the Bible in the sense that there's so many characters.
Then in Avengers 3 and 4, he was a teenager Groot, and now he's a grown up again.
Okay.
Yeah. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, since you've not seen any of that, they're essentially space adventures about this group of misfits. The central of them being Peter Quill, played by Chris Pratt.
Okay.
And the two characters, or rather the one character who's very essential to this is Rocket Raccoon, who's essentially a talking raccoon, who's voiced by Bradley Cooper, by the way. So if that really interests you, I should probably put out there that I'm going to talk some spoilers. So
That's
there is
okay.
that.
Standard.
So what happens is this film essentially revolves around Rocket Raccoon. He gets mortally injured within the first couple of minutes of the film, and the rest of the film he spends in a coma. But we see some flashbacks of him as a baby raccoon who was done
Oh,
experiments on.
oh no, that is
And which is
sad.
why he has developed this sort of anger issues, and he can talk and all of that. And the man who's doing all these evil experiments is actually the villain of the film, and he also is doing evil experiments on other animals. So a point of caution I would say to people is, if you're an animal lover, this film does have scenes of some very brutal animal violence. I mean, agreed, they are CGI animals, but
It
still
still is
it's done so well,
upsetting. Yeah.
yeah, that it's a little hard to watch, but it's essential to the plot. And it was a rollicking adventure. Like, I was like, okay, Marvel is getting too jumbled into the storylines and all of that, but this is pretty much a standalone film. And
Okay.
I know, Nanika, I told you 2 days ago, I WhatsApped you, please watch the film, and I wasn't being sarcastic. I think you would actually like this. But what are the questions you wanted to ask me, Nanika? Please shoot. By the way, I'm wearing a Marvel shirt just to represent
Is
my Marvel love
Spider-Man
on
Marvel?
this podcast. It's, yeah, Spider-Man's Marvel.
Sony, right?
I mean, it's a long story.
Loaned
You're
to
judging them by
Marvel.
film studios. I'm judging them by comic book publication.
Okay. Oh, okay. Fair. Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, there were comic book characters before they were.
correct.
Right. What is it about James Gunn's like direction that you think sets him apart from the other Marvel movies?
So there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of inventiveness when it comes to visual appeal. So he has this thing where um, he uses the cinematic language to create humor. So there'll always be things like you'll have a character having a heavy big moment where they're like, "Oh, I was mistreated by my father, and do you expect me to just go about my days every day when I'm going through trauma?" And then you'll cut to the other person and say, "Yeah, but at least you can put your pants on." And then you'll have a long shot where
Yeah.
none of them are wearing pants. So he uses stuff like that. Like he intercuts all the big serious moments with a lot of humor,
Hmm.
which I think in this film also sort of was a little jarring at points, because there's a point where one of the characters gets shot, and it is implied that they're gonna die, and a couple of scenes later they're making comedy of that particular moment. So yeah. So that's the thing about James Gunn. He's very he's your perfect comic book guy, where he can do big action set pieces and all of that, but also keep it light and moving. I think in hindsight, like about 12 years from now, when I'll still be watching Marvel films and talking about them in my 40s, these three films will actually stand out from the 35 odd Marvel films that they've made, because it has a stamp of a filmmaker rather than a studio on them.
Do you think the
So yeah.
movies that James Gunn has directed are like the gold standard of directing superhero films, or do you think the other directors have done it better?
I would say in the Marvel films, of the 30, 35 or 36 films that have come out, I think these three definitely stand out.
Okay.
So interesting, James Gunn did another film before he did Guardians of the Galaxy, which was called Super, which starred Ryan Wilson. And it was essentially about what would happen if an everyday person wants to become a superhero. So he actually made the whole argument that it's not easy to be a superhero. Like, we have in big studio superhero films, all the superheroes take bullets and take all the beating, and they just stand right up. Whereas in Super, he showed that if you actually go out fighting as a superhero, your legs would be fractured, and you will be paying most of your money in medical bills.
Of course.
So that is also a film you should check out if you're interested in that.
Okay.
Interested in James Gunn. It's called Super. SUPER.
Okay, I'll watch it. And one final question. This is kind of just like meta and out there. How do you think like James Gunn manages to impart like a little bit more soul to his characters and his movies, as opposed to other, as you said, as opposed to the other Marvel studio productions? Like, what is it? What is the secret sauce? What is the element there?
I think, I don't know how he negotiates them, but obviously for this one, the fact that they brought him back after fan backlash and the cast refusing to work, you can see he had more of a free hand than other Marvel directors.
Right.
Because even Chloe Zhao, who won the Oscar for Nomadland, her next movie after that was a Marvel film called The Eternals. So there you could see that someone in the studios was pretty much tying her hands behind and saying, no, you have to do these things this way because this is a superhero film.
Right.
So I think most filmmakers get tied up in the whole massive narrative of tying the 7-8 films together. Whereas James Gunn definitely had more of a leeway in this one, because it's not even very friendly to kids, this one. I mean, there are, like I said, there's animal cruelty, there's a lot of daddy issues, there's a lot of emotional underpinning happening. So I think, I don't know, he must have a really good manager who lets him get away with the kind of stuff he wants to direct for Marvel.
Also seems like,
yeah,
he walked out on his own terms. Like, like they got him back because they needed him back that bad. So I feel like, he clearly got like enough headroom to do whatever the fuck he wanted, which is great. I feel like
it must be that notice period wala feel na ki kya karoge, nikal doge. What are you going to do, fire me?
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, so I think that worked in his favor.
Wonderful. Would you recommend this film?
To you specifically, yes.
Oh my god. To people who, like, I'm sure Marvel fans will watch it anyway, but to non-Marvel fans who want to go and watch this film, would you say, oh yeah, go ahead?
To Marvel fans, 100%. If you've lost faith in Marvel in the last couple of months, keep the faith and go for this one. For non-Marvel fans, if you have seen the first two Guardians films, definitely go for this one. You will not miss anything that happened in the interim. And yeah, I mean, definitely watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, 2, 3, if not the other Marvel films. It's definitely worth your time. Okay, before we move on, I'd just like to make an announcement, which is about the Press Freedom Fund. Why is press freedom important? How healthy is the Indian media ecosystem? What are the pressures on news organizations? India is ranked 161st on the Press Freedom Index. So to answer these questions and to celebrate press freedom, we've launched a Press Freedom Fund, an NL Sena project that will include deep dive reports, commentaries, and videos on press freedom, the health of the media ecosystem, and pressures faced by the civil society and media in India. Please help us with these stories by contributing to the NL Sena project. We plan to top up the fund by May 31st. So let's do this by logging on to www.newslaundry.com/NL-Sena/Press Freedom Fund. We'll put the link in the description. So please do help us with the Press Freedom Fund. All right. Our video watchers on YouTube, that's all you get for this edition of Awful and Awesome. If you want to listen to the rest of the episode, it's available in its audio form on the News Laundry website or wherever you listen to podcasts. You have to be a subscriber to listen to the full episode. So do subscribe and log on to the News Laundry website or on the app and listen to the rest of the episode. Trust me, you need to listen to the rest of the episode with me and Nanika. Please do. Please subscribe.
The subscription model is something that keeps News Laundry afloat, but we need hundreds and thousands of people to completely transform the news ecosystem. So you pay for news, so it serves you. So click on the link with this video, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free, और गर्व से कहो मेरे खर्च पर आज़ाद है खबरें.